Hello, and welcome to Rocket Fuel, your daily update of everything that's happening in the Rocket Pool community. My name is Wack. Today is October 7th, and today's episode is going to have information about starting ETH-only validators. We're going to be talking about 1KX exiting more validators. On the Ethereum side, we're going to be talking about a new breakthrough on the discussion about block times and scaling, and then we're also going to be talking about Vitalik making some new donations and a whole lot more. So let's get started.
10, 9, ignition sequence start, 6.
So we're going to start here with this Google sheet that a Madmap made, and this has information about the time to break even if you make a new validator. And there are a few assumptions in here, so let's have a look and see what it says. So how long does it take to get a 16 ETH mini pool currently on Rocket Pool and converting that to LEB8s with ETH only and breaking even? How long will it take? So basically there's two things that we need to pay consideration to. One is gas cost of the time that which you perform those transactions, and the second is if there is a queue, how long the queue is. So the way that it works is the lower the gas, the quicker you can become profitable, obviously. And the main thing though is the queue length, and the less of a queue there is means that you're not like losing rewards before conversion. Like if you hadn't converted, you still be earning rewards, right? So you'd still be keeping those rewards. And then you are actually not earning rewards while you are in the queue. So those numbers together, like the loss that you make, then has to be recouped by the higher rewards, because you will get higher rewards with ETH-only validators depending on what your 16 ETH commission is. So some people, right in the beginning of Rocket Pool, it was a variable commission between 5% and 20%, and a whole lot of people got locked in at that 20% number. I know that Thomas G has a bunch of his validators at that 20% number. So if other people have that 20% amount, then they are less likely to go down to these ETH-only LEB8s because the difference in rewards won't be that much for them. It'll take much longer to become profitable, and for them it might be a better option to just wait until Saturn 1 and going down to LEB4s instead of going down to LEB8s in the middle. However, for the other people, especially for those on the lower commission levels, if they've locked those in, or for those people who are starting new validators, potentially, the numbers are slightly different. So Madmap posted this chart. He says that it was inspired by Hodge's idea, which I covered on Rocket Fuel around Atlas time, and because that's when we had a queue and gas prices were quite high, so people were trying to figure out when to become more profitable. But here there was a lot of discussion that kind of came up because of this. So Halula was involved in the discussion, and basically Halula said, with 18 ETH validators, it's going to be hard to break even before Saturn 1. And then Epinef said, this is brilliant, it's really cool. But then people started making other charts. So here Halula said about Constellation. So he was saying that basically if you're going to be starting a Constellation validator, you need to make sure that, the gas is really low when you start it. Otherwise, it's going to take a while for you to become more profitable. And for example, if there's no queue on Constellation and gas is 1 GUI, which, it has hit recently, but it's nowhere near 1 GUI now, it would take you a week to break even. However, if there's a 2-week queue and gas is at 10 GUI, then it might take you 3 months to basically break even or thereabouts. So those numbers can really change how quickly you're profitable. So here Halulu says people who are still on 5% should definitely switch, but they probably aren't following actively enough to know that this will be an option now. For people who switched back to 16 ETH pools recently, it looks pretty decent. So there was a bunch of people in the community who exited all their validators and then came back in as 16 ETH validators instead of 8 ETH validators. And the reason for that is because the requirement for RPL is less. It's 1.6 ETH of RPL per every 16 ETH the user brings, whereas with LEB8s, it's 4.8 ETH of RPL for every 16 ETH the user brings, so it's 3 times as much RPL. So people noticed they could still get RPL rewards and still be profitable by going to 16 ETH validators. For those people now, they can go down, and they should be in a good spot. So there was some more charts here as well of numbers about how to break things down, but this is going ETH only compared to idle ETH, and it's actually like really good for higher gas and duration of queue. So, for example, if you have ETH just sat around doing nothing and it's just sitting there, right? Then for you to turn that into ETH only validators is pretty much like very decently profitable very quickly. So much so that like if you are on 20 GUE and a 2-week queue, then you should be profitable within like a month and a half pretty much. So it's, if you just have ETH lying around, it's definitely going to be way more profitable for you to jump in on this. And one of the things that I'm recommending, and this is not investment advice or anything like that, but if you do have ETH lying around, get that ETH ready now and be on the first day of ETH only validators going live. You have to remember there's 38,000 ETH in the deposit pool right now. So that means that if you get in on that first day, or maybe that's just being too optimistic on my part, maybe the first few days or first week, before that deposit pool gets eaten up, you should be able to get in on 0 days wait. And as long as gas is decent, at that time, you could probably start becoming profitable within a matter of days. So it might be worth it for you to think of something like that, and you can be profitable within a few days. So if that's something that you're interested in, check out these charts from MadMat. There's a link, and you can check out this link from MadMat. It's just above the link in the description below, and then you can copy and play around with those numbers to see what makes sense for you and what makes it profitable for you. Okay, so today is the end of round 17 of the grant applications, and there's this interesting grant that I saw, and I thought it'd be interesting to cover for you all. Now, this is not me speaking as a member of the GMC. This is not me giving any feedback on the quality of this grant or anything like that. But this grant is by Trooper. It says, we're currently in the process of selecting a final name that best reflects the vision and functionality of our project. For the time being, we'll refer to it as the Rocket Pool Explorer. So what's the work being proposed? This proposal seeks to create Rocket Pool Explorer as an alternative to RocketScan.io, incorporating all the features from the Houston upgrade and the tokenomics rework prelude, RPIP62, assuming the ongoing vote passes. So that vote, of course, is looking very likely to pass. It's at 80+% for approval right now. So with the RPL removal as well. So they're saying that this is based on existing functionalities RocketScan. The entirety of the front end and back end infrastructure will be built from scratch. So what they're saying here is that it's spiritually related to RocketScan, in that a lot of the features will be inspired by RocketScan, but they're going to be making everything from scratch. And they're saying that they're committed to fostering transparency and collaboration with the Rocket Pool community. Accordingly, the front-end repository will be made freely available under the GPL version 3 license, allowing for the community to view, modify, and contribute to the user interface components. However, the backend repository will be closed source and will provide comprehensive API documentation and maintain transparency about the backend process to ensure trust and reliability. So then there's more information as well about their rationale for their licensing choices that you can read about. But what they're basically saying here is that, this will help protocols and community members and everyone have Rocket Pool Explorer again, and the work will be executed by a dedicated 2-person team. So the front-end developer is Legion and the back-end developer Trooper, and they have got some information here about what their skills and experiences are, and they've collaborated on multiple projects, successfully developing various dApps, integrate front-end and back-end functionalities. So they're saying that they want to build out the whole of the website, the back-end, the front-end, everything over the course of 12 weeks to complete the scope. Since most tasks will be executed concurrently, we have avoided assigning specific deadlines to each milestone. However, we have outlined the key milestones. So there'll be back-end development, front-end development, testing and quality assurance, and final deployment and launch. So they'll have landing page, mini pool information, node information, smoothing pool information, deposit pool information, rETH, RPL network configuration, ODAO information, and PDAO information. So a whole lot of information that you see or you used to see on RocketScan before will be updated and refreshed and will be on this platform. And they're saying that they want the GMC to pay for this, and they've got like a bunch of other information there as well. So in terms of cost, they give acceptance criteria, and they ask for $150,000 and then a monthly stipend of $300 to cover server upkeep and maintenance cost, and that will be covered at initial period of 6 months for $1,800. So yeah, this is quite an ambitious project. Pateris said that, for him working on RocketScan took 2 years to complete from beginning to its peak version. And these guys are trying to get it done in 3 months. There's been a lot of discussion recently about getting something like RocketScan working, whether Pateris, we can entice Pateris to go back and fix the code and make it work again, or whether someone else will take it on board. So now, of course, this is up to the GMC to decide whether they want to go ahead with this or not. Okay, going back to the Rocket Pool Discord here, we have discussion about 1KX exiting more validators, except my links got messed up a little bit. Let's have a look. That is not the right one. Where did it go? Oh, wait, it's a bit further up here. Wait, where did it go? I'm sorry, I don't know where it's gone. Yeah, sorry about that. But here someone pasted a screenshot of, oh, there it is. So it was right there all along. So 1KX MadMat again. Hey, double shout out for MadMat today. Showing that 1KX have started distributing some of their validators. So that means they're exiting a whole bunch of validators again. And Halula said it's still not all of them. They're going to be leaving around 100 of them. The deposit pool size is nearly at 39,000 ETH now. And then people are kind of just talking about how they could leave or not leave and what they might be going on. Halula said, I'm guessing they can withdraw another 100,000 RPL now, and maybe next time, in a few weeks' time, they'll exit the rest. So they're nearly done now. So this is actually really interesting. They'll have 98 mini pools left, and they'll be withdrawing probably 100,000 RPL anytime soon. So here we have information from Invis with the beacon chain mini pool states, and it shows that exiting, we have 98 validators exiting, and 97 of those are from 1KX, and one of those is from Seb. So yeah, this is them exiting out pretty much, like, it's probably their second to last exit, and they are getting ready to leave. Now, I have no idea. So the first batch of the RPL was almost definitely sold in that Binance pump that we had a few weeks ago, and then I don't know what they're doing with their RPL since then, and I have no idea what they're going to be doing with their ETH either. There's a chance maybe it'll end up at NodeSet. I have no idea. They seem to have a good relationship with the NodeSet guys, and it seems like the 1KX team are investors in NodeSet as well. But other than that, I'm not really sure what will happen with that. But Rocket Pool has 22,169 active validators as of right now, and that's a pretty cool number there, definitely. Now, talking about that, the community here spent a few minutes thinking about what the uptake for Saturn Zero and NodeSet is going to be, and how many validators will be in the Rocket Pool community by the end of this calendar year, which is in 3 months' time from now, basically. And will we have less than 20,000? That's, of course, another 10% decrease. So 4 people thought that. Will we have around 20,000, which is that's a decrease of 10%, and then about no change? Or will we have 25,000, which is an increase of about 15%? Or will we have 30,000, which is an increase of around 25-30% increase, basically, or more than that even? So the poll was closed. There was 29 votes. I voted that we will have around somewhere between 25 and 30,000, hopefully towards the higher end of that number. But it seems like most people kind of expected there to be between 25 and 30,000 validators on Rocket Pool by the end of this year. That would be quite great. Of course, the closer to 30,000, the better it is. But that, I think, would be really fantastic to see. Some really good growth, like 2 months of running for NodeSet and ETH-only validators. Hopefully, we can make a good push to get a good number of validators online in that time. Okay, next we have this update, and this is by Regex Buster, but it's shared on stakerocketpool.eth, and this is the latest DeFi sheet for rETH and RPL. And here they've gone back to PancakeSwap being number one. Now, for those of you who've been watching Rocket Fuel for a while, you'll remember that PancakeSwap is almost always number one in terms of rewards to rETH and ETH liquidity providers. And this is again the case now. So PancakeSwap is back. It's had the highest APR possible, highest APR possibility this update, with profits of up to 21.11%. What are you waiting for? Do your own research and then have a look. So here we've got some really good numbers this time. So on Optimism, we've got Balancer, rETH, Anchor ETH at about 13%. And we've got a Balancer on Gnosis up to 15.7%, which is really great. On mainnet here, we've got PancakeSwap up to 21.11%. And then there's also RPL, that you can get rETH RPL liquidity on Balancer can get you around 5.2% as well. So there's some interesting yield to be found here. Of course, as always, do your own research. Please check it yourself before putting your money into everything. DeFi is risky. You can lose everything. You know the usual spiel. But that's really cool. Thank you, guys. Okay, next there was this interesting transaction that took place. It was an rETH transfer, and this was an rETH deposit to the Symbiotic vault. Now, for those of you who don't know, Symbiotic is a restaking platform, a new one that's kind of like a rival to EigenLayer, and this was created by the people behind Lido, as far as I know, but it's had a lot of other VC investment and stuff. But they are announcing an airdrop soon, I believe, soon TM, and I think as one final push, people are kind of trying to go in there with high liquidity amounts and trying to, farm the airdrop as much as possible. So the rETH vault on Symbiotic is now full, so there is no way for you to get more rewards on that. But this person put 7,400 rETH in there, which was definitely a big amount, so good for them. Okay, and I'm going to finish the Rocket Pool section with this meme from Invis. And this is Invis talking to Halululo saying, hello, it's time for you to learn about money and the importance of, and then this little baby Halululo going to the vending machine and putting all their money into the RPL vending machine. Now, that is great because for those of you who don't know, Halululo has been buying a whole lot of RPL. He recently got a job and he's been putting a big chunk of his money into buying RPL. So congratulations, Halululo. I think he's one of the few people who's actually buying more RPL than I am right now, but that's pretty awesome. So congrats. His latest buy is doing quite well, but let's not talk about his previous buys. Moving on to some staking news. Here we have news from Nethermind, and Nethermind have a new update 1.29.0, and they've got major highlights here. So there's some breaking changes, but they have something called heuristic transaction censorship detection, which is actually really interesting, saying we've introduced heuristics-based censorship detection in Nethermind client. Censorship is detected using two kinds of heuristics, namely high-paying transaction censorship and address censorship. In the former, a block is marked potentially censored if the highest non-blob transaction included in the block is worse than the best non-blob transaction included in the pool. The latter, which could also be opted out of, requires specifying a list of addresses that we want to track censorship for. We count the number of tracked addresses to which transaction is better than the worst non-blob transaction in the block is sent. If the number of such addresses in the block is less than half the number of these addresses in the pool, we mark the block as potentially censored. If two consecutive blocks are flagged as potentially censored, regardless of the kind, we detect censorship. So it says then there's more detection stuff there. There's some performance improvements as well, and you can get a look of all of those things there, and updates with caching and other new features and stuff like that. So this seems like a pretty decently sized update from Nethermind. I don't know how useful the censorship tracking stuff will be for you and me, people who use Nethermind, but I'm sure that a lot of people who are going to be pulling data out of their execution clients are going to be using that to give us a good picture of what is happening with censorship on Ethereum, and that's going to be really awesome to see. So great job, Nethermind team. And here Alex says, looks like a new censored Ethereum transaction detection feature just shipped with Nethermind 1.29 earlier today called heuristic transaction censorship detection. And then this is people on Twitter started to talk about it as well. So it's really awesome. Okay, moving on to some Ethereum news now. The big Ethereum news from the weekend was this EIP that is being proposed by Ben Adams and Justin Drake kind of approving it. So let's have a look over here. So Ben says reduce Ethereum slot time from 12 seconds to 8 seconds. This will reduce based rollup latency. The quicker they can produce blocks, the better. And it'll increase transaction throughput by approximately 33% without increasing block or blob counts, and distributing bandwidth usage over time to lower peak bandwidth requirements and maintain network efficiency. This would be equivalent of increasing the blob count from 6 to 8 or gas limit from 30 to 40. However, this approach does not increase peak bandwidth. So that's actually really interesting. So what happens is basically right now you have a 12-second chunk of time, that's a block, and you have X number of transactions that go into there, and 3 to 6 blobs. And what they're suggesting is that time gets reduced down to 8 instead of 12 seconds, and you have the same amount of blocks and blobs as you would have in a current block. It's just the time parameter changes. However, the real change is that in the current system, you'd have 2 blocks over 24 seconds. In this proposed system, you would have 3 blocks over 24 seconds. So it's like a big boost to the number of transactions you can include and the number of blobs you can have in that period. So, instead of having 3 blocks per blob, so 6 blocks over 24 seconds, this way you could have 9 blobs over 24 seconds. So it's actually really interesting. So this is EIP 7781, and there's actually some early support for this, and this comes from Justin Drake saying, "Thank you, Ben Adams, for pointing me to this thread. My initial reactions would be to support reducing slot times to 8 seconds for a few reasons. One, it increases throughput by half, and effective gas increase to 45 million gas limit and 9 blob limit. This roughly aligns with the proposed 40 million gas limit by pumpthegas.org and the 8 blob limit by Vitalik and others. This opens the overturn window in favor of slot reduction changes and would be a great warm-up for future slot duration decreases. It makes the slot duration a nice power of 2, aligning with the rest of the beacon chain parameters. It will make DEXs like Uniswap version 3 roughly 1.2 times more efficient, saving roughly $100 million in a decentralized exchange arbitrage per year, and ultimately leading to better execution for users. It will improve the user experience of layer 1 contracts, reducing confirmation times by a third, and the smoothing out peak load across more slots makes sense when execution clients largely sit idle between block verification spikes." So that is actually a really interesting take from Justin Drake. I'm sure there's technical stuff that I don't understand or get. That's why we have people like Trent Van Epps here, who is one of the devs with Ethereum and works with Protocol Guild. And Trent says, gas limit increase this, slot times decrease that. How about EIP 4444 first? Then let's talk. So for those of you who don't know what EIP 4444 is, this is a bound historical data and execution clients. So basically what this will do it says clients must stop serving historical headers, bodies, and receipts older than 1 year on the P2P layer. Clients may locally prune this historical data. So what happens is you only need to keep the data for the last year instead of more than that, which will reduce load on nodes and then make it so you can actually grow the state. Because that's one of the main things, right? Like, state growth is a real problem for Ethereum, and we all started our validators with 2 terabytes, or we should have. Some people started with 1 terabyte and then they had to upgrade to 2. I started with 2 terabytes and I've had to clean things up a few times and get everything running properly. But now people are saying start your validators with 4 terabytes instead. So that state growth is a real issue, and increasing the gas amount in real terms by 50% would lead to faster state growth. So being able to prune historical data would actually be a huge benefit to increasing limits and times and changing times such that things happen faster. Okay, moving on to some Vitalik news here. Vitalik was active on his wallets over the weekend and sold a bunch of meme coins. So Vitalik sold $431,000 worth of meme coins, Moondang, Degen, Nero, and Kabosu, and stablecoin USDT for 140.67 ETH. And at the same time, he also sent 100 ETH to a free Alexei and Roman campaign. So this was Vitalik basically sending the meme coins, selling the meme coins that get sent to him, and then that money, of course, some of that went to Roman storms as well. So here we have Cointelegraph article about it saying Vitalik donates 100 ETH, about $240,000 to Tornado Cash developer, and then it seems here that according to the Defend Roman Storm crowdsourcing page, 148 payments have been made. Have been received for the developers defense fund, totaling 327 ETH, which is roughly valued at $785,000. Of course, a couple of months ago, Roman's team was saying that they needed $2 million for their defense, and then we. No, actually, that was it. I think then Roman actually sent out a tweet thanking Vitalik for this. So that was actually really awesome. In talking about Roman Storm here, so there was messaging sent out to the press talking about the case, saying that Tornado Cash was used by criminals. This is out of the Netherlands. And Alexei didn't do anything to stop that, and that the tool has no legitimate non-criminal uses. They accused Alexei of criminal intent and arrogance, and then that's where the 64 months of imprisonment came from, and they actually took his car and crypto as well. So this is a summary from Lefteris from these documents, which you can read here. That's talking about the ruling, but you can go and have a look. So yeah. This case is still going on, and Lifter is saying the source is a Telegram user who was at the court. I was not there. I personally find the reasoning of the court appalling, and their facts are also false. So it looks like that is going to get pushed out as well. So we'll see what happens with that trial there as well. Okay, talking about Europe. So here, we know that European Union recently passed a crypto in Europe bill called MiCA, and that's markets in crypto assets, I think. And part of that was stablecoin regulation. And what they talked about was only European citizens only being able to use stablecoins that are registered with the European Union. I covered in Rocket Fuel a few months ago that USDC by Circle was registered and fully MiCA compliant. However, the biggest stablecoin out there is USDT, and that has not been compliant with MiCA. So Coinbase now are delisting USDT and other non-compliant stablecoins in the EU. That's because the policy is coming into effect. So it says Coinbase will remove stablecoins that don't meet the EU's new MiCA regulations by December 30th, 2024. So that is a big change that's happening. Of course, Tether, could become compliant. I'm not sure exactly what the steps of that are, but that could be happening, I guess, and then they'll get relisted, I'm sure. Okay, next we have this snippet from a presentation delivered by BlackRock, and here they're talking about crypto adoption and how it's being adopted faster than the internet and faster than mobile phones, and the adoption curve of it is just like really steep, which is incredible. But this talk was actually quite interesting because there were a bunch of other slides here that people saw that they were really that stood out to them. And this one here, Radar points out, which is a screen about Bitcoin and Ethereum and how they've emerged as the world's predominant crypto assets. And over here we can see that the value propositions for Ethereum, they say programmable platform enabling the execution of decentralized applications. So launch date was July 2015. Founder Vitalik Buterin, and then market cap number 2 with $450 billion. Supply cap is variable based on staking participation, on-chain activity, and transaction fees. And the consistent mechanism is proof of stake. So here they've got a chart saying, Bitcoin is 56% of the market, Ethereum is 18% of the market, and all of the crypto assets are 26% of the market. So this was actually really great that, BlackRock are highlighting Ethereum as one of the assets that they feel is strong. Of course, they have a product to sell, so it kind of makes sense that they are shilling Ethereum. They have an Ethereum fund, but it's really cool that they are getting the messaging out about crypto, and they're telling their investors that Ethereum is one of those assets that you should be investing in. Okay, talking about Ethereum, here there's some stuff that's going on that is a little bit more dark and sinister, and this is about the dark forest just got a lot darker. So Mev Refund here says that a few weeks ago, an address 0x991 front ran a seemingly private Shezmu hack transaction for 250 ETH. Today, the same bot front ran a private MEV blocker transaction also for 250 ETH. It says someone's abusing private order flow. Now, I'll admit that I don't fully understand what's happening here. It's a bit beyond my technical expertise, but people in the Rocket Pool community who follow this kind of stuff thinks that this is a really big deal. Here, the Ethereum intern is saying the great peace has been broken and 1,000 years of darkness will follow. This is of relays respecting private order flow and rebundling of proposers and builders. And then let me just see. Oh, that tweet has been deleted by ZachXBTC. So sorry about that. Yeah, it's gone. But ZachXBTC was basically kind of critical of 0x991. And that information looks like it's gone. So sorry about that. But yeah, I'll invite you to dig into it more. But it looks like there's some shenanigans going on, and I will let you all follow that. And oh yeah, here so here Ethereal says, wasn't this an inevitable outcome? And we're nowhere near peak activity either. This is going to be a much bigger phenomenon. And MEV Refund says, sure, if you're sending it to 27 different builders, don't think the big boys have any interest in dicking around with your transactions though. I'm very interested to figure out where and how these transactions are leaking. And it says, sacrifice 250 ETH to the cause to load the leaker and then send a different hash to everyone. Come on, do it. And then MEV Refund says, I prefer it if someone with more experience in sacking large amounts of ETH were to lead us there. And then finally, I've got news of FTX money that is about to open up to the world. So here, this news coming out from today saying that FTX plan repays crypto customers in cash with interest. So this news is looking like it's coming out in the next couple of days. This money will be available from the FTX collapse of a couple of years ago. And what we'll see from here is that, the money that was there, people will get dollar amounts from the day of the crash with interest. So in reality, they should have just gotten their crypto assets back where possible. People have lost out big, especially people who were holding stuff like Solana. It was $8 on the day of the crash. Now it's like $150, $160. So that's a 20x in their money that they've lost out on. So it kind of sucks for the users. That's why you should keep your crypto on your hardware wallets instead of on exchanges. But there's this idea that cohort was very much crypto degen, and that money that they'll be getting back into their hands will likely be coming back into crypto. So the mindset, the profile, of the users who were, had their money on FTX very much leans towards Solana. A lot of the Solana narrative is kind of being diluted right now by the SUI narrative. So some money might end up going there. I think some money, might be going back to ETH and BTC because people they were selling off their ETH and BTC. FTX was selling off ETH and BTC to pump Solana and others. So it could be that, some of the people would rather just go back to ETH or BTC. So there's this idea that, there's potentially billions of dollars in liquidity about to enter the market, and get ready for October, basically. So after the up to October 1st price action, it seems like prices have slowly recovered, and there's catalyst there now for a better price action in the coming days. Of course, none of this is financial advice or anything like that. So please invest and trade at your own risk. But that's the end of Rocket Fuel for today. So thank you all for watching, listening, and being part of the Rocket Fuel community. I hope you all had a lovely weekend, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye.